is a scary, scary statistic out there that says that like 87% of agents will fail in their first 5 years. So, how do you not fall into that? It's building genuine relationships.
Welcome, everyone, to the Closing Table Podcast, real accounts from real estate professionals from across the country, brought to you by WindowStill. I'm your host, Kat Schooler, and today I've got a really exciting conversation for you all. I'm sitting down with Brittany Arraut of Bellabay Realty in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Brittany was Rookie of the Year in her first year in real estate and is a top producer in her area. You'll hear all about Brittany's transition from healthcare, occupational therapy into full-time real estate and the success that she found there. She was headhunted to be the director of training and development at her current brokerage, Bellabay Realty. You'll learn all about how she focuses on relationships to uplevel her business. You'll hear about her unique and very cool client appreciation events, and stick around to the end for her awesome renovation project. Guys, enjoy my conversation with Brittany. Well, hey, Brittany, thank you so much for joining me today. So, you are the Director of Training and Development at Bellabay Realty, in addition to being a real estate agent. And I would love to know how you knew you wanted to take on this additional position, how you knew you wanted to be a mentor and a trainer. So, tell us that story.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for having me, first of all. Yes, I am the Director of Training and Development for Bella Bay. Um, to be quite honest, it was never a role that I was seeking. It is something that I was approached about and that came to me very naturally. Um, so I feel like I should start. Maybe this is going to interrupt you, but I feel like I should start on how I got into real estate.
Yeah, tell me.
Then, then go there. So I started in real estate. I was working full time as an occupational therapy assistant. I had a really great experience buying my first home with my husband with the real estate agent that we worked with. And I was giving referrals to all my friends who were like that first time home buying age, and they knew how much I loved my realtor. So my realtor, eventually reached out to me and was like, I love and appreciate so much that you're sending me all these great referrals, but did you know that you could actually get paid for these? Like if you get your real estate license, you could put your license in escrow. So I decided to do that. So I got licensed in April of 2016 with zero intention of ever selling real estate. I was just going to do the referrals and then work my full-time job. I did that for about 2.5 years until I eventually got to a place in my current work that I was just really unhappy with. I had kids. I was working a very corporate job. I didn't have the time off with them that I wanted. I felt like I was missing out on all of the field trips and, just those experiences that in- you want when you're a mom, what you always dreamed of, right? I wasn't living that. So I had searched probably for a year and a half trying to find another position within my field, and nothing was the right fit. And my husband and I were having a conversation, and he was like, well, you do have that real estate license you're not really doing anything with. It was just such a light bulb moment. I had never really considered it before. I'm from a healthcare background, so sales wasn't really my thing. But I ended up planning, and I left my job, which, I had gone to college for, so that was really scary to leave that and try something new. But I did it, and I jumped into it like just wholeheartedly, full passion, worked it like I would a full-time job. Um, and I ended up selling like 13 houses my first year, completely sphere based. And I was like, okay, I can do this.
That is so cool. And I love how sweet of that agent to be thank you for all the work, but you could be getting a cut too. Like how
Yeah.
generous.
She's absolutely amazing. She went on to be my mentor for my first 3.5 years in business. And I literally tell her all of the time. I can't thank her enough for everything she's shown me, the examples that she set. She is just an incredible, incredible woman. So,
That's really interesting. I just like what a it's just a cool thought that you could almost like a side hustle. I know like side
yeah.
hustle culture is like it's a whole thing, and so often when people are talking about a side hustle, I'm like, okay, but it's low key like a main hustle, but we're not talking about that.
Yeah.
um and I'm just like curious. You don't have to like tell me numbers, but like was it like a pretty like good deal when you were getting these like commissions or these referral
Um,
commissions?
I mean, yeah, she was paying me a full, like, I guess in my area, it's kind of 25% referral fee would be a standard, I guess, or what is
Wow.
common. And yeah, yeah,
That's so
absolutely.
cool. I'm sure a
Mhm.
lot of people don't really think about, well, first of all, I'm sure that's like such a unique in
Yeah,
to buying and selling in as an agent. And I'm sure a lot of people like don't even think about that as an viable source of income.
yeah.
Wow, that's so cool. So when you decided to go into real estate as an agent, helping people buy and sell, did you still do occupational therapy work? Like, was there crossover or was it like we cut ties one to the other?
No, I was done. When I had decided I mean, like I said, I had known I was very unhappy in that job for a long time, and I continued to stay like another year and a half. So when I was done, I was done, and that was really scary. I knew, like, at the time we were very much a two income family living paycheck to paycheck. We needed both incomes to survive, so that was also a decision that weighed heavily on me leaving. I was also carrying like our health insurance for the family at the time.
Mm.
So there was a lot of pressure. Um, Personally, I chose to take like a 401k loan from my current employer so that I had a bank of money because I was aware that it would be several months until a closing. And when I put in my resignation for my occupational therapy job, I didn't have a single client. I didn't have a sale lined up. It was very like, I need to cut, and I was determined to make something else work.
Wow. And do you think your success is all related to you treating this like a 40-hour a work week job, like, kind of just putting in the time, pounding the pavement, all that?
100%. I was a very like self-motivated person to begin with. Um, I actually ended up winning Rookie of the Year of my company the first year that I started. And I remember like just gaining a ton of traction in the beginning. And people would ask me like, what is your secret? What are you doing? And I vividly remember telling people like, I don't have a secret. I'm listening to all of the things that people are telling me and am doing them. Like, I was door knocking, I was calling my sphere, I was snail mailing my sphere, I was attending a lot of networking and a lot of educational events. Again, I contribute that to the mentor that I had. She was a board of director for our association at the time. She's currently serving her second term as a board of director. She's involved with my state, um, the Michigan Realtors Board. Like, she's amazing, but she instilled all of that in me like right from the get-go. So I was very thankful that I was in and doing all of those different avenues to be successful. I think one of the personal traits that I have is I want to know all of the answers. I want to know why. So, coming from healthcare into sales, people would be like, wow, that's just a really incredible transition. It's so different. And as I got to know real estate more, I realized it wasn't that different. I was caring for people in a medical aspect, and now I was just caring for them in, finding them the right home, listening to what their needs were, and making sure that those needs were being met in my transactions. So I never really feel like a saleswoman in that way. Um, but because I wanted to know so much information, I hate like when someone asks you, well, what is this? Or, what's the next step? Or whatever it is when they're inquiring during our search for a home. And I'm like caught like a deer in the headlights. I don't know. That was that was challenging. And obviously, everybody's going to have that. I still have those moments where I don't know, but I was eager to learn. I wanted to know. So, in my first year of being an active realtor, I earned 34 continuing education credits in my first year because I was just hungry for knowledge. I wanted to know how this industry worked. I wanted to know more and be truly the professional. If someone was leaning on me, I felt a responsibility to know what I was talking about. So I just,
Right. So it
yeah.
Oh, no, sorry. It seems so natural, that you became this director of training and development. It's
Mhm.
just slides
Yeah.
right in there.
Yeah, that's why I felt like I needed to backtrack just a little bit because that was just a passion that I had from making the switch into real estate. So, in my brokerage, I started creating different groups. Like it was called the Agents Assemble, which is totally like a Marvel nod, right? And so it was like an accountability group. We'd get together, we'd have coffee, we'd talk about the market. We'd just have that great peer conversation about what we're seeing, what's going on with our clients, what our wants and needs are. And I was craving that, and my brokerage didn't really have that at the time. So I made it, right? And so I would get together and I would do that. I did that for probably about a year. And they obviously appreciated and took note in what I was doing. So they named me like their relationship liaison for the company. And I enjoyed it. I was very happy there, and I didn't really have an intention to leave. One day, I just received a phone call from my current broker from Bellabay, and they said, "Hey, we have this position. Our current director of training and development is leaving, and we think you'd be really great for this role." And I totally like fangirled in the moment, like it wasn't something I was out looking for. It hadn't really been anything that had crossed my mind, but I felt really honored to even receive that phone call. And I remember like my mentor at the time, I had called her. She was also like my team partner. We were on a team. Obviously, teams run very differently from team to team. Our team was we each handle our own clientele from beginning to end. But she was constantly like available for any questions I had, so we worked very, very close together. Um, but I remember she was like the first phone call I made. And I was like, I just have to let you know, I received this phone call and I feel like I need to take the interview. And she was like, you absolutely need to take that interview. Like that would be an incredible opportunity for you. So I did, and I like showed up like it's funny if you knew me, it's very me, but I showed up with like my resume. I had like a full list of questions, like all the things. And it ended up being just an amazing opportunity of what I felt like was a very natural next step. And so I decided to take it. I ended up taking that job in August of 2022. So I was about 3.5 years in the business, and it was a big step. Bella Bay is a huge brokerage. We have over 200 agents. We have 10 locations across the state of Michigan. So that was it was a big role, but I enjoy it, and I'm very glad that I took that job.
That's so cool. It's so full circle for you. And I love hearing stories where people are being like recognized for what they excel at. And I love that you were kind of headhunted, right, as this person who excels at, you know, mentoring. So how do you like keep up with the mentoring and keep up with the helping your clients? Like how do you kind of balance those two aspects of your business?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really great question. I still strive for what's called a perfect, healthy work life balance. I'm not exactly sure it exists, but I've heard of it before. um, I have to be very intentional with my time, and I have to be very intentional with my boundaries. Real estate is a beast of an industry. It's customer service based. It's relationships based. I've learned that it's okay to intertwine them. And I've learned that it's okay to set boundaries. I still am working a very healthy like business of my own, and I don't ever want to lose that. That was one thing I made sure that technically this director of training job is not supposed to be a 40-hour week. In the beginning, it absolutely was for me, trying to find what that balance looked like. But I've been able to implement a lot of technology. I was able to record different training sessions and have them available for our agents. So I don't have to teach the same segment, 15 times over the year. So just using some of those tools and offering different resources means that I don't have to be on the phone 24/7, with still able to help my agents be successful. And I have tried not to slow down anything in my personal business. I still hold client appreciation events. I'm still calling them. I'm still interacting. I have two children. They're 9 and 10, third and fourth grade, and I need to be there for field day and I need to do field trips. And but all of that is like making myself a name in my community as well. So to me, it all flows together.
That's great. So you mentioned client appreciation, and I saw this on your feed that you had this really cool client appreciation event. It was like a client cleanup.
Yeah.
What is that? Tell me what
Yeah.
what the clients are getting. What's going on?
Yeah, so we just finished that event in April. So it's my spring clean out event. And I rent a dumpster and I put it in front of my house. And I invite all of my past clients and my neighbors and friends and family to come and dump their junk for free. So everybody does a spring clean out and everybody has junk. So it's always a really successful event. We filled two huge dumpsters this year, and I think everyone just kind of appreciates it. It's like the perfect time of year where everyone's spring cleaning and getting everything out.
Right. And, getting them to remember you. And they probably look forward to it. Like I would have it on my calendar, like, okay,
Yeah.
we're going through the basement because
Yeah.
it's going to be dumpster day.
Yeah. Yep. It's
That's
a
so
really,
fun.
yep. Yep. It's a good event. People love it. They're like, I'm so thankful that you did this. Just like you said, it encouraged me to, start cleaning or just get rid of the stuff we already had just hanging out in the garage or whatever. So, yeah.
Right. And probably a great moment to like reconnect with people and like, you get what are you doing before you're like thinking of like moving? You're cleaning your house out. I think it's a great tie-in.
100%. And obviously, as an agent, I'm trying to make sure that I'm like heading out to them when they show up. I'm like helping them get stuff in the dumpster, having those conversations, that bit of reconnection, see what's going on with them. So I'm making it work.
That's so cool. Is that like your main event? Do you do kind of other like community events?
Yeah, I do other events. Well, so around Christmas time, I usually do cookie drop-offs. Um, and that is like a very like home operation. Like my husband and I are literally driving and delivering boxes of cookies to all of my past clients. But in the past, I've done different events. We've had one with like photos with Santa. We had cookie decorating. We had, sponsors that had raffles. We had food. Hire the professional photographer, have the pictures with Santa, and then resend those to the clients. That's always a great one too. Um,
Oh, so fun.
yeah, yeah. Um, I'm not sure on others, but yeah.
Very nice. So on the topic of your clients, do you have any like of your favorite like client stories, most memorable moments?
Yeah, absolutely. So I worked with this client. Her name was Patricia, and I met her at an open house. She just kind of wandered in. I was hosting an open house in her neighborhood, and she came through and she was like, I've been wanting to buy a house. I currently rent. She was elderly. She was probably 2 years away from her retirement, and she had been renting for the past 30 years. And she wanted to buy a home. So it wasn't the right time for her. She couldn't get pre approved at the moment, but I stayed in contact with her, followed up. Eventually, she was able to get a pre approval. Then COVID happened,
Mm.
and a lot of the lending restrictions had tightened up during that time. So she fell out of qualifying for a mortgage. I researched so many different programs and different lenders and finally found her one where she could get pre-approved again, refinanced, not refinanced, where she could get pre-approved again. And we found a really great property for her, and she eventually closed on it. I think from start to finish, it was so long. It was probably one of my longest transactions. It was 15 months from the time that we
Oh,
started
wow.
working together until the time that we closed. But she was so happy. She told me time and time again how she had felt that God had placed me in her life and how I was such a savior to her and I was such a blessing. And she was like, I knew walking in that open house. She's like, I had no business walking in that open house, but just something told me to go inside. And I still keep in touch with her to this day. And I'm so proud of her. And I think it's really, really amazing that someone who hasn't owned a home, since 30 in third last 30 years was able to get out of renting, own a place of her own just before she retired. She is officially retired now. I just chatted with her on my last cookie drop off over Christmas, and she's so happy and she's thriving. And that is why I do this job.
That's so great. Oh, it's such a heartwarming story. It gave me chills. I love it.
Yeah, she is wonderful.
I'd like to take just a moment and tell you about our sponsor. WindowStill provides premium real estate media for agents, builders, and property management companies nationwide. To learn more, visit windowstill.com. WindowStill, helping America find their next chapter. Now, back to the episode. Going back to kind of some of your other outreach and things like that, we talked about before the call how you are the chairperson of your Young Professionals Network. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So I currently serve as the chairperson for the Greater Regional Alliance of Realtors, which is Grand Rapids, Michigan area. Um, I have served on that board as a committee member for about 5 years, and that is just something that I really enjoy. I I enjoy learning, it goes back to education again, right? I enjoy learning about more about this industry, how to better serve my clients, what other people in different markets are doing. I feel like a lot of times Grand Rapids isn't always the place where a lot of these trends start, right? It starts in the bigger cities, but it's working its way to us. So I love being able to network with people across the country. I think the Young Professionals Network is really great in our industry where the average age of a realtor is like 47 years old. So having that younger group affiliation, having support from your peers is really important. And it's something that I really enjoy doing. I've attended a lot of conferences on behalf of the YPN. I've done the YPN Advance in Chicago. I was able to go out to the NAR Next conference in Anaheim in November, and just learn a ton. And those are opportunities that I really truly appreciate.
And it seems like it only does good things for your business. It only helps you up level, not just for yourself, but for your clients.
Yes, absolutely. I'm out there sharpening my skills. I'm putting tools in my tool belt and getting those skills and resources that only make me a better agent to help serve my clientele. Absolutely.
So, what would you say? Because we are all about the education, and I love it. Would you say is like one of the biggest lessons you've learned or biggest takeaways from one of these courses?
I think one of the main themes that you will hear reiterated over and over throughout this industry is that this is a relationships business. 100%. You have to follow up. You have to be genuine. You have to be intentional. Yes, you have to be educated, but building a relationships business is invaluable to me. Having that sphere, having that community of people who know, like, and trust you as the agent is how you are going to withstand the test of time in this industry. There is a scary, scary statistic out there that says that like 87% of agents will fail in their first 5 years. That's a terrifying statistic. So, how do you not fall into that? It's building genuine relationships. Sometimes I hate the word past client. Like, they're my clients for life. I want to take care of them. I want to be their trusted advisor. I want to be their go to resource. Obviously, there's different things that you'll learn in each of these seminars and conferences that just like ups your game just a little bit. You get that light bulb moment where something just clicks or you decide something new is you're gonna implement into your business. um, all of that is invaluable. Also, I think the relationships that you build with other people in this industry is incredibly important. um, Networking sometimes, in the beginning my husband would be like, why are you spending so much time hanging out with other realtors? Like, you're never going to sell them a house. You know what I mean? To that I say the relationships from peer to peer in this industry are just as invaluable. I have been able to put deals together because I was able to get that opportunity or that second phone call of, information about what our offer needed to look like or whatever it was because of the relationships that I have in this industry. The agents that are like, hey, I really want to work with you on this. Let's see what we can figure out. Those opportunities aren't by chance, right? They're because I'm a trustworthy, person of integrity.
Yeah, that's so important too, because it's not just finding more clients, but it's like if the other agents you're working with know you and like you, they're more willing to work with your buyer or seller, on whatever side of the table you're on. It's so true.
100%. Yeah.
I love that. Is there anything that has surprised you about working in real estate?
Well, I suppose so. When I first started, I said that I wanted to get into this industry to be a part-time real estate agent, and I just like laugh at that now. Um I said earlier that I am working on boundaries and having really tough boundaries, and that's something that I'll always continue to work on. I think it might be surprising to someone not in the industry how much you're really on call like 24/7. It's different for me just because, or maybe it feels different for me because I'm able to set my own schedule. I'm able to work my appointments around the field trips with the kids, the appointments with the doctor. So I have a little bit more control over what my schedule looks like. Um, but coming into this business, that was a surprise to me that when the phone rings, you have to answer it or you might lose that sale. So it could be a shock coming in when, you truly do have to be on 24/7. As you grow, you learn that that's a very good way to burn out very quickly. So you have to become more intentional with your boundaries. But yeah, I think that was surprising of just how there are no rules. There it is kind of the wild wild west when you're starting this new business of everyone, it could be 12 o'clock at night and you're getting messages on your phone. What do you do with
Mm,
that? You need to have a plan.
right. I think so many people who have never freelanced or haven't had their own business do have this idea about freelancing or entrepreneurship. Well, you can get a lunch with a friend or you can go to your, child's field trip and it's like Yes, but then I'm working at 9 p.m., right? Because that's when my client has time to talk about a house or schedule a showing. And I'm sure you do get people, because this is kind of it's a stressful transaction, no matter which way you shake it, who are thinking about it late at night and decide to include you in that.
Absolutely. And
So,
like I have been at clients' houses like shampooing their carpets at 11 o'clock at night the day before listing because it didn't get done and they need the most money out of this house. Like real estate can be wild like that.
wow. I mean, do you think it's just like natural for you to go above and beyond like that?
I think that I'm a very giving person. I feel like I'm a natural caregiver. Healthcare, like, it's just in my nature to care for people. And I very easily translate that into real estate. These are people that have a need, and I'm still here to fill that. I want to take care of them. I want to make sure their needs are being met. I want to make sure that this is the least stressful process that they're going through. And I want to, the real buying and selling real estate is a very stressful experience. It is likely their, highest dollar purchase they've ever made or will make. And it's my job to take on that burden for them so that they can have a little bit of peace with their decisions.
Totally. My husband and I looked at a house that a family friend is selling himself as a for sale owner, but he wanted to give us the first pass, and like we knew we weren't even gonna, like we knew it was gonna be a no, but then you look through it and you're entertain the idea, and then it was like a solid maybe. And I just remember the whole time thinking, I wish I had an agent to negotiate this for me, because there was that personal connection, right?
Hmm.
And I know for me it would have been nice to have some distance.
Yeah.
We didn't end up going through with it. It was not for us. But
Okay.
um, I just like it that experience kind of, even though it was like so low risk, was very stressful at the same time. And I just think about the value that agents bring to those situations.
I couldn't agree more. 100%. It is arguably one of the most stressful times in any person's life when they're buying and selling a house. So having that trusted advisor is priceless.
Totally. So you are not only an amazing agent, but you are a traveler, and you have this really cool project you and your family are working on. You're renovating a motorhome. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I have to start that story by saying COVID was a rough time, right?
Mm.
So I think in 2020, somewhere around there, maybe 2021, we purchased this really old motorhome. It was a 1990 Coachman, like a Class C motorhome. Um, it was, I think it's 26 and a half feet. It sleeps six, I think. But it was just completely outdated. The interior hadn't been touched since 2020. No, sorry. The interior hadn't been touched since 1990 when it was built. So we renovated it. Needed a lot of different things. Like a lot of the window seals had broken, so all of the wood was rotted in the walls. We ended up having a family friend who's also a contractor help us rebuild this thing. We've put a ton of money and time and resources into it. Um, but it has paid off. We have taken two cross country trips. The first one we took was November of 2021. We did a lot of national parks. That's kind of our draw. So we did like a really big southern route from Michigan. We stopped in St. Louis and saw the Arch. We went down to the hot springs in Arkansas. We made our way through. We have family in El Paso, Texas that we visited. We did the Grand Canyon, Zion, Bryce Canyon, Canyonlands, that whole area. Um, just incredible, incredible adventures. And then last summer, we ended up taking a 6-week trip in the motorhome. I think we hit 9 national parks, and we did the whole Pacific Northwest of the country. Made it all the way from Michigan all the way to the Pacific Coast in Seattle, and everything in between. We spent a week in Glacier National Park, which was my absolute favorite stop. We spent a week in Yellowstone. We went whale watching. Just all of the most incredible adventures that we were able to take as a family.
Gosh, and what wonderful memories for your kids. Like, I'm jealous. My parents didn't do that.
My parents didn't do that either, girl. You
My mom
just
would be like, Camper, no way."
I take that back. We had a couple of road trips that we took, but they were very like, oh, maybe a week for spring break, you know what I mean? But a 6-week road trip is something, it's incredible. It's a trip of a lifetime. I realize how very blessed we are, to be able to do something like that. The first time we took that trip, we were all doing remote everything because of COVID. I was working remotely, my husband was working remotely, and the kids were doing virtual learning. So it was kind of like an opportunity that just came about, and we were like, we have to take advantage of this, right? um the second time we decided to do it last summer, it was just one of those big bucket list trips that we had wanted to see that part of the country. It was places I had never been to, my husband had never been to, and it was incredible. It was incredible. There was more of a challenge now because I was the director of training and development at the time of that trip. My husband is now a stay-at-home dad, so that was a little bit easier. And we did it in the summer when the kids were off school. But there were still challenges of having, someone to be here. I was still working, virtually supporting the agents. So there was a lot that went into it, but I was super fortunate and grateful that I was able to do that.
Oh, I love that you were able to make that work. Do you have any travel plans for this summer?
So we will be sticking a lot closer to home this summer. As much as I say that was an amazing adventure, adventures are incredible and terrible all at the same time. You can imagine all of the troubles you have taking a 1990 motorhome through, the Rocky Mountains. Um, that's a whole story for a different day, though. But I'm not up for another 6-week road trip just yet. So we'll be camping around Michigan, sticking a little bit closer to home. But yeah, we'll still be out there.
That's cool. And Michigan has so many beautiful places to see, that aren't too far away, especially Grand Rapids. Got the lake right there.
100%. My father has a cottage up north on a lake, and we bring the motorhome up there and just kind of like have our own spot on the property, so that's worked out really nice too.
Okay, so Brittany, tell us about Grand Rapids. Like, what do you love about selling in your area?
Yeah, so I love the city of Grand Rapids. I was actually born and raised here, lived here my entire life. But Grand Rapids has just continued to see growth. They have a stable economy. Um, there's a lot of educational opportunities here, and we are like a pillar of medical facilities. We are a medical destination. Grand Rapids has been named like the best place to raise a family, the best place to start a business. They've been named the best right size city. So there are just so many incredible things about living here. I truly wouldn't live anywhere else. I think one of my favorite things about this city is the ease of accessibility around town. Like it from the downtown area, you can get to our entire metro area in like 20 minutes. Like it is just so easy to get around. I also love that there's so many different styles of living within our metro area. You can be on a horse farm with 10 acres, or you can be downtown in a sky-raised condo. Like the possibilities are just from one spectrum to the other, no matter
Yes,
what you're
and not to
looking for.
mention downtown Grand Rapids is gorgeous. It's gorgeous, gorgeous.
It is beautiful. And they've done so much to the city to make it more attractive to everybody. Like they have the Rosa Parks Circle downtown where they'll do ice skating in the winter. They've brought back carriage rides through the city. There's lots of bars and nightlife that are going on. There's constantly festivals that are happening. It's a really great place to live.
We love all these, like, you know, personal things we're looking forward to this year. Professionally, do you have any goals for this year?
I think professionally, my goals this year are to continue to try to achieve that work life balance. Last year was my first year serving in full capacity, both the director job and working in my personal business. And it's a challenge and it's a balance. So, my goals are always balance related. I don't have aspirations to be the number one agent in the city. My aspirations are to have good relationships with the people that I serve. Um, Mentoring and supporting agents really like to my core makes me happy and fulfills me. So I have goals related to, making sure I'm supporting those agents and helping them be successful. Last year, one of the agents that I trained was Rookie of the Year for the Bellabay brokerage. And that is just like all of my heart, right? Like, I'm so proud of her, and I'm proud that I'm able to give that back in the way that it was given to me.
That's a beautiful goal. I love it. So, Brittany, would you like to tell people where they can find you, how they can work with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can always send me a text or a phone call. My number is 616-460-5900. I have a website, brittanyarraut.com. You can connect with me on any of the socials.
Awesome. And we will link your website in the show notes so everybody can find you. Thank
Thank,
you so much, Brittany.
thank you.
Thank you all for listening to the Closing Table podcast brought to you by WindowStill. I'm Kat Schooler. Please be sure you are following or subscribed to our podcast on Apple, Spotify, or YouTube. And if you're enjoying this podcast, go ahead and leave us a review. It is the best no-cost thing you can do to help support this podcast, and it helps us find more amazing listeners like you. Thank you guys so much, and we will see you next time.